On today's General Hospital, Curtis is working out in his wheelchair as Laura proudly watches. She tells him she doesn't want to interrupt, but he says she can stay. They talk a bit about Heather, then Laura encourages his progress, before Curtis says he was just listening to breaking news about Jason. It must have come as a shock, she says, and asks how he's doing with it. Curtis isn't sure. Because if Jason took a shot at Sonny, he's the one who put him in the wheelchair. Yeah, Laura agrees, but says it's a good thing Jason's in custody so they can find out what's going on. She doesn't think Jason would target Sonny. Curtis doesn't think so either. Maybe Jason wasn't targeting him, but working for him. And Curtis was the target after all. Laura asks why, but Curtis says it's just a theory right now. After all, if Jason was supposedly dead, then that meant Sonny had a hitman no one could trace. I just want to know why I'm stuck in this wheelchair. Laura gets it, but he should be careful because there are people who can profit on Curtis turning on Sonny and Jason. Chase and Brooklyn get off the hospital elevator talking about wanting Dan to wake up. VLQ assures Chase Dante will wake up, then talk about keeping Jason turning himself in from Sam. Just then, Finn and Gregory get off the elevator and Chase rushes over to ask what happened. Gregory tries catching his breath as his sons fuss over him and snaps that they can't do anything to help, he's fine. This isn't a crisis, it's just his new normal. But when Finn tries taking him home, he says he has something he wants to say to everyone. Back off. They ask him what it means rather than backing off. BLK says he's got something to say, so shut up and let him talk. He knows they're worried and loves them for caring about him. But I am not an invalid. And I refuse to be treated like one. Finn apologizes because it's not what they wanted to do. He gets it, but they both have lives to lead, and they can't put them on hold for him. He's going to get a ride home alone while they get back to their lives. For what it's worth, Finn says to Chase and Brooklyn after Gregory's gone, you may want to consider moving up your wedding date. Their dad isn't okay. His respiratory issues are getting worse. BLK thinks they should move the wedding up too. They'll solve any problems that can come up, but your father is more important. Chase gratefully says he's sure he's marrying the right person. But they can't have this big beautiful wedding while Dan's fighting for his life. They just need to figure out the simplest solution that works best for everyone. They'll make it work for both Gregory and Dant, and downsize it. Ava answers the door to Michael, who asks if Sonny is there. The news must have hit him hard. Sonny walks in just then. What news? He then tells Michael he's not in the mood to play games and spit it out. Michael tells him about Jason. Is that all? Sonny shrugs it off. Diane will take care of it. But Michael pushes and refuses to leave when Sonny tells him to drop it and get out. They fight over Dex once again, and Michael keeping the secret over Nina turning Drew and Carly into the SEC. Everything's about him. And now he wants Sonny to help Jason after he left Dant to die on the pier? What is wrong with you? Michael gets why his dad's hurt, but he has to trust someone. Just because he's upset with Michael, Dex, and Carly doesn't mean Jason tried to hurt Dante. Ava steps in and says that maybe it was an accident and Jason stayed to save Dante, not kill him. Sonny pauses. Anything's possible. Michael responds with a question. Even forgiveness? Sonny mentions being an altar boy once upon a time. The priest used to say forgiveness belongs to God. Everyone else can put up or shut up. Michael's willing to take anything Sonny has to say because it's important he hears about Jason from him. I got your message, Sonny whispers. Go ahead and go. Before leaving, Michael says he's here for anything Sonny needs and walks out. Ava and Sonny share a drink. Maybe she is right and Jason shot Dant by accident. But if Dant doesn't wake up, it doesn't matter. Jason's not the man he knew anymore. Ava thinks he stopped being that man the minute you got back from Nixon Falls and found him with Carly. Jason just isn't a man Sonny can depend on anymore. Sonny looks off and Ava turns him back to her, pulling in close. John, meanwhile, there is tells a somebody stunned Carly working at Bobby's that Jason is in custody. He turned himself in with Diane. They spoke briefly, but Jason didn't tell him anything useful. She then tries rushing out to see if Jason's okay, only for John to stop her. Carly snaps at him that Jason is the best person she knows, and he doesn't know a thing about Jason. You couldn't be more wrong. Jason Morgan means nothing to me, but Jason Courtmain is a whole other story. He hasn't been called that in a long time, Carly notes. Maybe not, John says, but that doesn't mean he didn't exist. You're right, Jagger, Carly snaps. Were they friends? They were until they both fell for Karen, he says, and it all changed. But that Jason was a good person. He can't understand how the Jason he knew grew up to be Sonny's gun for hire. At least he didn't grow up to be a liar. Because that's totally comparable. Does the FBI know that you used to be friends with Jason and you always hated Sonny? Those are clear conflicts of interest, she says. In the meantime, he can get the hell out of her restaurant and find food somewhere else. She storms out. Over in the PCPD interrogation room, Anna and Jason face off. She wanted to ask him face to face if he shot Dante. He shakes his head, no. She thanks him quietly. I believe you, but my belief in your innocence isn't going to do you much good. She tells him about the footage of him and the other man on the roof where Dante was shot. Can you explain what you were doing there? He's got nothing to say without his attorney. Anna then says none of this makes sense, especially him waiving his right to counsel, then spending nearly an hour alone with John talking about something. She then mentions the Jagger/Stone connection, and Jason didn't put the pieces together that Agent Cates was Jagger, and he knew him in high school before his memory loss. He stands up and slams the table. I've been working for John Cates since November 2021. In what capacity? Anna asks. Jason's an informant for the FBI. How did this come about? If there's any chance she can help him, he has to tell her the truth. They sit back down together. Jason tells her that after the tunnel collapsed and he couldn't make it to Britt, he pauses when he sees Anna's face. She reluctantly tells him Britt was murdered. The killer is in custody. He presses on after getting emotional. He made it out of the tunnel when he was arrested by the FBI and taken to Quantico. John had a recording of RICO violations and criminal conspiracy. They wouldn't file charges if he acted as an informant. Not on Sonny, but on Pikeman. Their ties to the WSB meant the FBI had to investigate off the books. No agent, but a civilian, Jason. So he signed on as a mercenary for Pikeman. For how long? Anna asks. The whole time. He was part of a team at the warehouse to eliminate Sonny. He can confirm that they've tried taking Sonny out 3 times. This was the 3rd failed attempt, but the first he was on. He doesn't know why, though. He's too low level. Anna suddenly asks if John knew about this last attempt. Yeah, Jason tells her he knew everything. So he knew the entire time they were in the warehouse that Jason and the sniper were on the roof. Bastard. Jason made sure the shooter missed, but somehow Dante caught them on the pier and told them to stop. Jason knew that if Dante recognized him, his work was over. But the sniper shot him just as Dante recognized. The sniper's dead now. Pikeman's people are very thorough. That all tracks except Anna wants to know why Jason didn't stay with him until the first responders made it. In the show's final moments, Chase doesn't want Brooklyn to cut anything back. She assures him that the thing she's most excited for is calling him her husband, whether or not there's a string quartet at their wedding. This will be amazing no matter what. They kiss, and she says one last time she's happy with her decision. Just as it looks like Sonny and Eva are going to kiss, he tells her it's getting late and they should call it a night. They've got a big day tomorrow. He puts the drinks down. Sleep well, he says with a smile. You too. She returns and starts to leave. Ava, I'm glad you're here. She says the same and walks out. Carly arrives at the police station and is told she can't see Jason as he's with the commissioner. Inside, Jason says he was trying to honor his deal with the FBI and stay out of custody. Plus, he'd been shot. He called 911. If Dante dies, I get charged with capital murder. Anna says that by saving Dante, he may well have saved himself. Outside, Carly watches their talk.